Hello and welcome to Cut Through the Noise. Cut Through the Noise is the podcast that helps business leaders increase sales through elevated communications and marketing. I'm your host, Aisling O'Rourke, founder of The Communications Coach, based here in the Republic of Ireland. And I work with business leaders who want to communicate with clarity and confidence. And you are very welcome to today's episode. In this season 10 of Cut Through the Noise, we're focusing in on a topic that's transforming how we work, how we create, how we live really, but also how we connect. And that is artificial intelligence. Over this series, we'll explore how AI can support our communications and marketing, what security measures we should be aware of, how to design a workflow before paying for any new tools, and how to make sure our messages stay human in an AI world. And that is the focus of today's episode. Today, we are kicking off the series by asking, how can AI help us communicate better without losing our voice in the process? In this episode, I want to dive into practical, real-world ways that AI use in your communications and marketing can be helpful for you. I want to look at how tools like ChatGPT, Canva's Magic Studio, whether it's Claude, Gemini, Descript, how any of these tools can help you save time, generate ideas, and refine your messaging. Because it's not really about what app or platform you choose to invest into, it's how you actually use it. And the key is why we'll never allow AI to do the thinking for us. We need to see AI as another tool, another item that we can use to help us get the job done. But we can't allow it replace how we think or replace our creativity. AI, it is an incredibly powerful tool, but we have to remember that humans buy from humans after all, and that trust, warmth, and authenticity build strong relationships, and that can't be automated. And if you've heard me speak before, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you'll know that I fundamentally believe that trust is the currency of the 21st century. So let's explore how to get the best of both worlds, how the efficiency of AI and the empathy of communication can actually be brought together. So over the past, let's just say 18 months or so, I've found myself using AI more and more and doing courses on it around digital sustainability and AI use for marketing. And I've been experimenting with it not as a replacement for creativity, but as a collaborator. I will use AI tools to help me draft outlines, to finesse a proposal for a potential client, to put a structure on a workshop for me, and to brainstorm ideas like brainstorming for this particular podcast series. I find it really helpful in tidying up my thoughts when I'm out and about and an idea for an article or a blog just, lands in my head, but I don't have a pen and paper or a keyboard handy. I'll just dictate straight into it on my mobile phone. And I find actually that's a particularly useful way for me to work, particularly if I'm in the habit of coming up with these ideas, and if I don't take note of them there and then, I'll forget what they are. So using an AI app like Whisper or ChatGPT or even Otter, I can dictate it all out and then put it together later on, or even use the AI tool to put a structure on it. I know that many of you listening are experimenting too, whether you're a business owner, a marketing professional, or part of a communications team. AI tools are becoming a natural part of the workflow, but I feel that many people are only really dabbling with them, and they're paying for tools that you're not getting the full use for. And I think that's Like that, and that's why I said earlier on that the actual platform that you're using, that's not the most important thing. It's making sure that you are getting bang for your buck and that you are utilizing all of the features and that you're really diving deep with these tools so that you can really get the most out of them. At the end of the day, when AI is used wisely, it can help you work smarter, but it's no substitute for actual strategy or creativity or, the human touch at the end of the day. You need to know your unique brand voice, your unique brand values, your goals with a particular project, and your target audience. And if you don't have those basics down, AI is not going to fix it for you. It'll help you produce mediocre content faster. And that's blunt, I know. But if you don't know what you really are looking for from it, it's very hard for even the most expensive and the most elaborate of tools to help you get the job done. My first tip of this episode is to do the thinking for you first. Don't let AI think for you. I don't trust it to think for me. And look, I'm lucky. I'm from a generation where that I was raised on the old adage of don't believe everything that you read. I believe in critical thinking, and it is really important that we actually think about what we're asking any of these tools to do for us and what the end goal is, and to double check any facts that we may be provided with, just like you double check a Google search if you're writing, a research piece. You always have to check that what you're creating and putting out into the world is not only accurate, but also it aligns with your own targets for that piece of communication. AI can draft a paragraph, but it doesn't feel emotion. It doesn't understand why a client might be frustrated or how to motivate a potential customer. That's where the human touch comes in. I've been saying for a long time now, like storytelling has become this very trendy phrase that gets bandied about in social media content and how every business needs to have a story to tell. And that's absolutely true. And it's part of the work that I do. But storytelling is so important because it is the connective tissue that joins us as humans. It doesn't matter race, religion, creed. Storytelling is that really unique piece that ties us all together. And while an AI tool can help you do it, it won't understand why it works. The human piece is the most important piece here. And that's why some people are having amazing growth through using AI tools and some are not. Because the ones that are putting the effort in, the ones that understand how it works, but yet don't trust it fully, they're the ones that are going to see success with it, as far as I'm concerned. We can't hand over the thinking. And if we do hand over the thinking, it's going to look and read and sound polished. It's going to be a fairly good standard of, English or your preferred language, but there won't be soul to it. And we need soul in all our communications. Our audience will connect with empathy, truth, authenticity, but real emotion. Humans buy from humans, after all. AI is brilliant at execution, but you bring the empathy, you bring the curiosity and authenticity, and that's what's going to make your communication effective. And that's why if you use AI correctly with empathy, curiosity, and authenticity, that's when it's going to become really helpful for you. Again, before investing in a new piece of software, do the thinking first. Tip number 2, again, before you pay for any of these tools, look at your workflow. And in episode 2 of this particular series, we're going to dive deep in on workflow. But just quickly for today's episode, take a moment to actually draw out your workflow, even if it's pen and paper. What is your current process? Do you have a system in place? Because if you don't, actually, this is a good starting point. Create a system. Document all the steps that you do on a daily basis over the course of a week. Now, how can you systemize those to make it a little bit easier for you? And where are the bottlenecks? So if I take, for example, how I use AI to help me create a workflow when I was starting out with the Clarity Collective. And the Clarity Collective is my communications mastermind. I wanted to streamline how I produce the content for members because I know myself, we live in an attention economy. And when we have our monthly 90-minute calls, the members want the information efficiently, and that's only right and fair. So I mapped out the process from developing the theme to creating resources, managing how I run each live session, and then sharing the key insights afterwards. So once I had that written down and I understood it, I then could figure out, okay, well, what AI tool is most useful here for creating call transcriptions and tidying them up afterwards so that members get access to them in a timely fashion. I use an AI tool to help me create captions for social media posts to promote the Clarity Collective and lots of other things that I do. I usually will write the full blog post or article first and then get the AI tool to shorten it down and make it a bit more appropriate for maybe a LinkedIn post as opposed to a TikTok post. And then I'll reformat the notes into bespoke templates depending on what the members of the Clarity Collective ask for. And that bespoke piece is really where AI comes into its own, because actually designing and generating all of those things, that used to take an awful lot of time. But now I can focus on the content of what I want to share in those resources and let AI create it for me. And that's where I can do it in a nice, timely, and efficient manner for my clients, but still meet my own standards. Once the workflow was clear, the tools added value for me instead of clutter. So that's why we need to really focus in on workflow. You have to have your creative process and your system smooth first. Now, let's look at some practical ways that we could use AI in our communications in particular. So, as I said before, idea generation is a really useful one. So, you can use AI to brainstorm blog topics, campaign ideas, or even podcast angles. It's actually really helpful if you know that you need to start planning out, maybe it's next month's content, but you're drawing a blank and you're thinking, well, I know like we're now at the time of year when the festive season is upon us. There's lots of holidays coming up. You're going to need to be generating content around maybe perhaps some promotional sales, end of year content, reflecting on the year that was. And if you start listing all of that out in your head, it can become overwhelming. But if you list it out into your preferred AI tool and ask it to help you structure it, that's when you can help get it to create a content calendar for you. The structuring piece with AI and planning can be really helpful in terms of creating a content calendar for you or outlines for various projects that you know are coming up. Also, like it's not just rubbish that gets recycled. We can recycle social media content, and that includes written content. So perhaps you have a blog that is still actually really useful, but you need to repurpose it for a fresher LinkedIn post or a short script for a video that you want to do, again, because you didn't like how the first one turned out. You know, you can get AI to help you with that. You can also, and this is where I am really passionate about AI in that it can help us become more accessible. Like we've heard, now I'm not sure how I feel about AI tools automatically translating my content into another language, because I'd never want to give the impression that I can speak a language that I can't or have fluency in a language that I don't have. So I'm a little bit on the fence on that. But for accessibility purposes, for this blog, this video, we use Descript to record all of our content because it transcribes everything as part of each particular episode. We can use that then for transcripts, for captions, for blog posts, and for subtitles. And subtitles are really important for accessibility purposes, for people who might be hard of hearing, but also for people who are looking at your content on the bus, on the daily commute, and they have, you know, the good manners that they remember that if they have forgotten their headphones, they can't listen to audio. So they need the subtitles there in front of you, because let's be honest, there is nothing more irritating than somebody who listens to social media content on full volume without headphones in public transport. If you're one of those people, please buy headphones. But back to today's point. Using AI for accessibility purposes is actually really helpful. If a lot of your content is image based, you can get the AI tool to help you create the alt text. Now, if you don't know what alt text is, it doesn't matter what platform you're posting on, but you will have the option to create alt text. And what the alt text should be, and it actually probably needs a better title, but all the platforms call it alt text. Basically, it's alternative text to describe what's in the visual. And that's for people who are visually impaired. And for the software that they use, as they're scanning social media and it comes across your visual content, the software will describe the image based on the text that you put into that alt text box. So it's actually really important. And sometimes it can be a little bit hard to know what to put into that box. But you can put in your original text and ask the AI tool to shorten it down for alt text purposes and make it really clear and helpful for that visually impaired person who might be following you on social media. You can, if you want as well, to get AI to suggest edits for clarity or warmth or, toning things down. I do know people who will vent into an email and then ask the likes of ChatGPT or Claude to refine it to take out the frustration they might be feeling about a particular item before sending that email, which is possibly a very smart way to use it because we should never be angry in our communications. And again, I use AI tools to help me organize my thoughts. I love to write. I love to come up with ideas for things I should be doing. And sometimes I don't get around to doing it. And I used to be taking notes in notebooks. And don't get me wrong, I believe in the brain hand connection and that there is something really powerful from a memory perspective, even, but from an emotional perspective, in actually physically handwriting things out. But I had gotten into this habit of handwriting out these ideas or stories. And then they'd sit in the notebook because who wants to try and figure out your own handwriting? Because, like, mine is barely legible these days. I type so much. So instead, nowadays, I will dictate into my preferred AI tool. I will just literally do like word vomit, dictate whatever it is, thoughts, and then say, right, okay, please organize that for me. Create a structure. And that's where the real gold comes from, in my opinion. And it does help me work faster, but keep my own tone of voice. Now, look, these are just some small and specific actions that can help you work smarter, not just faster. Because if you're not working smarter, then don't bother using AI. You have to be really cognizant of what you're expecting from it. Point 4 in today's episode is around ethics. And it's really important that we talk for a moment about ethics and privacy in particular. So just because you can use AI doesn't mean that you should, or even that you always should. I would always suggest avoid uploading sensitive data, especially client information or internal communications. Look at the particular AI tool that you're using. Go into the security settings of it. Make sure that you're happy with how your data is being used. Do actually look at that section there, because depending on what platform you use and how you use it, if you do not have your privacy settings turned on, and to be honest with you, this is where why should you pay for any of these tools comes in. If you pay for them, you get more privacy protections, or supposedly you do at least. And that is one of the reasons that I will pay for these services. But it's really important that you look at those privacy rules and look at how your information is being stored and decide whether or not you yourself are happy with that. Because if you're not, you're not. And it's an important distinction to make. If you're managing a team of people, and I don't particularly care if it's a team of 1, 2, or 2,000, you need an AI use policy, and that AI use policy needs to be in plain language. It's something that needs to be able to be understood by every single member of your team, regardless of how tech savvy they are. So the golden rule here stands, like I always say it, if an 8-year-old doesn't understand it, you need to rewrite it. And it is that simple. Your AI use policy doesn't have to be lengthy. It needs to be clear on what's allowed, what's not, what's confidential, and how results should be verified and identified. I have a personal rule, and it's one that I will always share with my clients. If I won't say it in a client meeting, I will not paste it into an AI tool. Basically, if I don't want it read out in a court of law, I won't share it with any AI platform or social media platform for that matter. And yes, that does include that WhatsApp group that everybody uses to gossip. It's a small boundary, but it helps to maintain trust. And as I said, trust is the foundation of all good communication. At the end of the day, AI isn't going anywhere. It's part of how we work, but how we use it determines whether or not it elevates or dilutes our message. Allow it to speed up your processes once you've identified what your process, your workflow, your systems are, but don't allow it strip out your personality from your communications because you can I've experimented with it. It will take out your personal anecdotes because it's not deemed correct by whatever large language model you're using. But your personality, that's what's unique about you. That's why people want to buy from you and work with you and do business with you. So it's a balancing act. Let the AI platform inspire ideas, but not define them. And always remember connection, empathy, and storytelling. These are still your best marketing tools. Remember what I said about it. It's the connective tissue that encourages humans to work and buy from other humans. If you're a business owner, solopreneur, or even a team leader who wants to communicate with confidence, attract the right clients, and finally clarify your messaging, then stay with me and let me share with you how the Clarity Collective can transform your business. So, what exactly is the Clarity Collective? It's a monthly communications mastermind program designed for independent business owners who want to elevate your communication skills and build stronger, more authentic brands. We meet for 90 minutes on the first Monday of the month to tease out communications issues, from getting to grips with AI to interact with the media and so much more. If you'd like to find out more about the Clarity Collective, book a call with me now. The link is in the show notes below this video or on your preferred podcast platform. I look forward to helping you communicate with clarity and confidence. And now back to today's episode of Cut Through the Noise. Now, as you know, I always like to share some bonus content for those of you that follow us here on YouTube. So I want to talk you through how I have trained the AI tool that I use, ChatGPT, to enable it to help me work smarter. Now, look, there are so many tools on the market. The list is endless. If I started naming them all out, we'd be here all day. ChatGPT happens to be the one that I've invested in. I have no affiliation with OpenAI. I pay for it each year myself, and that's my relationship with it. But regardless of what platform you choose, you have to train it, okay? So if you're in the AI platform of your choice, go to your settings. Usually they're in or around the profile picture of yourself. Click on that and you will see an option for personalization. So first things first, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to look at the privacy settings and your data protection settings. Now in this segment, I want you to look at the personalization settings. Here you can provide detailed information and instructions on how you want the AI tool to respond to any request. I know a particular person who has her AI tool trained to refer to her as Princess. Now, look, that's not my cup of tea, but you can train it to respond to you in your preferred manner, your preferred tone and preferred language. So, for example, I've told it that I want it to use English Ireland. I don't want Americanized English spelling, for example. So I've given it that instruction so that when I do use it to help me write things, that I'm not constantly correcting the spellings, because like that just takes all day. I've then gone further and I've gone into the advanced personalization settings. I've given it information that I'm happy to share. Most of it's on the internet anyway. You know, it's about my professional background, my company name, the communications coach company values, the ideas that I want to be aligned with, and the work that I'm available to do. That gives it context. You see, like I said before, the best AI tool in the world isn't going to do the job you want it to do to a great standard if it's rubbish in, rubbish out. So you need to give it the context with which you're going to use it. The more information that you provide, the more useful the responses you will receive. It's all very well paying for an AI platform, but you have to train it to make it useful. Again, rubbish in, rubbish out. Okay. You have to be very mindful of what information you're sharing on it because it is an internet platform. Okay. First things first. But you need to be intelligent and critical as to making sure that you're giving it the information that it needs to do the job you're asking it to do. Once you've used the basic settings and trained the basic settings, I then would suggest creating a custom GPT for the tasks that you do on a regular basis. There's two things that I don't particularly enjoy dealing with on a monthly basis. That is creating client proposals and monthly invoices. So I have a GPT that helps me generate the monthly invoices that I have to do every month, and it might be dependent on how many weeks in the month. So that might change every month. Or it might be that I'm using it with a template for my proposal documents. So when I meet with a client and I take note of what it is that they're potentially asking me to do, I will then go and have a think about what their needs are. And I will give them a bespoke proposal, but I want that proposal to work in the same way regardless of what it's for, because I want to have some consistency and brand standards. So I can create a GPT to help me do that. Once again, though, I have to emphasize the importance of creating a workflow. By creating a workflow, you will be able to see the opportunities for AI tools to help you in your day-to-day work. And that's something that I think is so important that we're going to discuss in more detail with Liz Hardwick in next week's episode. Once you start investigating AI tools and how they can help you get those quick wins, like helping me deal with those monthly invoices that I really just don't enjoy doing, but if I need to get paid, so I have to get them done. You might be surprised at how much easier it becomes to see how an AI tool can help. But never forget, your human touch is irreplaceable. At the end of the day, AI is just another tool to get your head around, but it is important that you do investigate it now. The businesses that learn about it now, those early adopters, they'll see the benefit while the rest are playing catch up. And you don't want to be in that position where you are playing catch up. I leave you though with one caveat. And if you are a company leader, don't make the mistake of telling the younger tech savvy members of the team to take on the AI tools and just figure it out for themselves. You need to know exactly what it's being used for if it's your business, because at the end of the day, it's your brand, it's your reputation. So this is where you need to work together as a team. And that is really, really important. That's it for today's episode of Cut Through the Noise. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you'd like to explore how communications coaching and the Clarity Collective can work for you and your brand, you can connect with me on thecommunicationscoach.ie or by email at hello@thecommunicationscoach.ie. And yes, all of those links, including the book a call option, are in the show notes below. Thank you for listening. It's a noisy world, so remember, you need to communicate with confidence, clarity, and authenticity if you want you and your brand to stand out from the sea of sameness and cut through the noise.